This is Boxing Tickets NI. We are delighted to be joined once again with a bomber, Thomas Carty. For anybody that sort of doesn't know in the background, this has been a torturous week. It's been on, it's been off, it's been on, it's been off. Obviously, in an interview, and finally the day has come that you've decided you're going to do an interview today.
Yeah, you finally came across the money you owed me, and you sent the money, and I said, right, fair enough, I'll do it now.
Is this for the? See, I was going to be nice to you today, because obviously you bought me a few meals when you were last up in Belfast a few weeks ago. You bought me lunch. You gave me obviously a couple of your thirst things to try, and I'd obviously told you they were nice, and now you're telling me I owe you money. So, like, I thought we were friends.
We'll see now after the interview how the questions go. No sticky questions.
But I guess we're 12 days out now from what your third appearance in a three arena fight, nine as a pro, like 33%, what 33 and a third, and all them threes with a dot at the end, whatever that's called. But there's a third of your fights now is in the three arena. Like, I know we keep it on obviously at the start and stuff you've had as a pro, but like, would you have imagined that nine fights in, your third fight in the three arena?
No, absolutely not, because until the first Katie Taylor card happened, it didn't look like I was going to box in Ireland anytime soon at all. There wasn't much going on back here, especially not at the level that they're going on. So, yeah, I couldn't have imagined, to be completely honest. I always would have liked to, and it would have been my preference too. But being realistic in the beginning, I was like, nah, no son will be fighting here for a long time.
Do you think it maybe comes down to, obviously, I guess the matchroom effect and everything else they got, obviously on a Katie Taylor card, and people seeing that you're selling tickets and everything else, and like you've done a lot in the background, obviously in building your own brand, the Carty Party, and everybody knows about it now, and everybody uses it. Do you think in some ways, that matchroom effect has obviously done the world of good for you in some ways? Like, not to say that you're not talented, but like it helped you early on in your career, which is now, when I'm sure when Tom Loeffler and 360 were thinking of a card, we're going, we need to have Thomas Carty on because his fans bring atmosphere and he sells tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like obviously being associated and fighting on matchroom cards, I've had, 95% of my fights have been on matchroom cards since the beginning. I think it helps bring validation to what I'm doing alone. It's what people would see as being like, top league of boxing. It's where everybody wants to get to. So the fact that I've had most of my fights on this platform has obviously helped along the way, validate what I'm doing. He's obviously doing something right. It's easier for people to get behind you then. And then we're doing everything we can in the background to create a proper night out each time we fight. So more and more people are jumping on board the bandwagon and everybody's enjoying it.
I just want to obviously go back to obviously March, St. Patrick's Day in Castlebar. I obviously interviewed you obviously after your fight, but I know you've sort of touched on it since. Like your manager, obviously Dillian Whyte, obviously believes that obviously guiding the right way can get you the world title. Like, what's your thoughts when you're sort of hearing things like that? Are you trying to sort of stay focused and not get too far ahead of yourself? It's obviously nice that someone thinks you can become a world champion.
Yeah, no, of course. Listen, it's fantastic to hear what other people have to say, but what matters most in this game, especially, is what you think of yourself, how you perceive yourself, and whether you back yourself or not. And I've always backed myself to get to that level, and I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. And it is really nice to hear people validate what you're saying and what you're thinking yourself. So it is nice, but even if everybody was saying the complete opposite, it wouldn't dampen my spirits. You know what I mean? I'd still be plugging along, I'd still be doing my thing and enjoying what I'm doing.
I guess sometimes, that the more people that are saying things, obviously it puts more pressure onto you. Like, obviously, I know when we've spoken, we're saying obviously you're on this big KO streak. You're not focusing on the KO streak, you're focusing on one fight at a time, but you obviously want to keep the KO streak going as well. But like the more pressure gets put on you, the more pressure obviously there is to perform then as well. And if you have your own focus and mindset and where you're going, that's effectively all that really matters to you.
Yeah, 100%. Like the KO streak is great. It looks great on paper, but really it's meaningless. At the end of it all, it's a little bit meaningless because all that matters is that you win. It is great that you're winning in a certain sense. It gets everybody talking, but it's 6 weeks on. If I fight tomorrow, 6 weeks time, all that matters people look back on is that was a win for Thomas or it was a loss for Thomas. So I wouldn't get too fixated on the fact that I'm on a KO streak, but it is great to be able to say, great selling point. People that know they're going to expect fireworks when I fight. It's fantastic, but it is what it is, part and parcel of the job.
Like, I guess, and obviously when we go back to March, you were probably thinking at that stage the next card was going to be a Katie Taylor card in a three-rinner, whether it was a Cameron trilogy fight, even Croke Park was obviously suggested as well. Like they think it, when you look at it nearly 6 months on, you're sort of going, Katie Taylor's obviously fight was initially made for the AT&T, and then the card was postponed. Like, did you ever think it would get this scenario where you'd actually be on an undercard to someone else that wasn't Katie Taylor in three arena?
Yeah, I do think so because I think Katie coming the first time opened up the floodgates for what could be and the potential that we have here, the untapped potential we have here in Ireland and especially Dublin. And I think it's really showing now that it is possible to do. It's been done. This is going to be the third time it's been done, within 12 to 18 months. And I can't see it slowing down anytime soon. I think more and more people are going to get the initiative from this and be inspired by this card. And, let's make the three arena a regular occurrence again. We have the fighters, we have the talent. We need the big broadcasting backing is all we need. It's all we're missing.
Callum Walsh was a headline in the card as well. Like, it sort of came, I guess, not to say he's came from nowhere, but obviously he's done a lot of his work in America. He's probably a similar fighter to yourself. He obviously wants to entertain everything else like that. What have you made of Callum's obviously start? Like, he's happy just to get thrown in at any level. Like, I think he's even suggested he maybe might at some stage go MMA as well. Like, what have you made of obviously Callum's rise and at Irish boxing and even world boxing?
I think it's really to be applauded and it's really to be respected. What he's done in such a short space of time, with little to no backing in the beginning, like his story is lockdown, world shuts down, he moves abroad, and everything falls into place from through hard work. It's I don't know, it's a bit of a Netflix documentary to be made there now on Callum Walsh. Fair play to him. I'm a huge fan. Obviously I'm biased. I'm a fighter, Irish fighter. I support everybody, but even if I wasn't, I'd be a huge fan of what Callum has done because it's really commendable and I think it's amazing what he's done.
He's sort of one of these no nonsense sort of types. Is like, just tell me where I'm fighting. I don't care who it is. Like, it's remarkable obviously what he's done in the last couple of years. But do you look so much at the card in general on the 20th of September, like two domestic fights as well? Obviously Craig O'Brien, obviously your stablemate, fighting Edward Donovan and emmet brennan, and obviously Kevin Cronin fighting. Like, it's a really, really good card in 12 days time.
Yeah, it's a great card, great fights, a lot of familiar names, and it's getting the public talking. It's fantastic. Great card to be a part of. Once again, great card to be a part of, and I'm really, really excited. I'm really looking forward to it.
For you, I guess this is probably going to come to no surprise, but obviously your opponent, Chris Lucky, I think it is his name was, has pulled out, and you now have a new opponent, Jonathan Ezekiel Faraga. There's a name I can pronounce for once. I think I pronounced it.
Well done,
I'm
well
guessing
done.
obviously at this stage, Thomas, you're not surprised. Like, obviously you've nearly probably had more opponents for a fight at some stage than actually fight you've had. You've maybe three out of 10 names at times. Like, comes as
Yeah,
no probably surprise to you now that an opponent's changed.
no, absolutely not. It's hard to match up someone with 8 fights in such a short space of time, 7 knockouts, high knockout percentage, against decent opposition as well. They're not all, as people would say, complete walkover jobs. So it's hard to get me matched up. It's not the first time it's happened. It won't be the last time it's happened. And as always, I'm just ready for whoever and wherever and whenever. That's all I can do from my end. It probably will change 5 times again between now and fighting me.
So at this stage, it's sort of you'd still not probably focus too much. Probably leave that down to Pascal more. But like, at this stage, you'll not be completely honed in on this Argentine opponent because you're thinking it might change here again.
No, it's down to me being the best version of myself I can be for the night and putting on a performance, regardless of who it is that you're actually fighting against.
It's obviously he's 50% knockout streak as well. So if you don't go on at 100%, and obviously and you get sidetracked with everything else, obviously it could become a messy night, particularly with heavyweight boxing where everything can change in one punch.
One punch is all it takes, Steve. One punch. Even if someone had a 0% knockout ratio, one punch from a big guy is putting anybody down.
You're showing your popularity here. Obviously, your phone's going. Obviously, notifications flat out.
Yeah, let me do not disturb. There we go.
Just obviously want to speak on obviously heavyweight boxing. Obviously, in general, like, we're sort of going through probably nearly a new process. Obviously, Uzak undisputed. Obviously, vacates the IBF. Obviously, Daniel Dubois, world champion, fighting AJ. Night after you as well. And then obviously the Usyk Fury rematch, obviously coming up now in December. Like, is it sort of like a bit of a change in things? Like, do you see, where do you sort of look at heavyweight boxing at the moment in terms of where it's going?
I can see the landscape changing in about a year's time, year to 2 years time. I don't think it's going to change right now. Definitely going to see at the end of this year in terms of who's at the top, and maybe probably into late next year. But then I can't see a passing of the guard, changing of the guard coming fairly soon. All the top guys are, I won't say coming towards the end, but they're definitely towards the latter side of their careers. And you see, new names coming through. Not necessarily new names, but new names definitely coming up into the top 5 spot. Even the likes of Martin Bacoli now, everybody's speaking about him. But heavyweight boxing is crazy. You could have 10 great wins against great opposition, and you have one loss, and people say you're finished. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. People are they're relighting their careers all over again. Look at even Chisora, and now there's talks of Chisora having a big fight. It's crazy. Heavyweight boxing is crazy in itself.
There's talk obviously of your manager Dillian Whyte, and obviously Chisora fighting for the third time.
Yeah.
It's like, and I know Dillian's obviously got to that stage where he's like, don't mess about with the online stuff. Just let's get it done. There's no bullshit attached to it. Don't try and beef it up for likes and everything else. Just, if you want to fight me, send the contract and let's get it done.
That's it. He's a no bullshit type of guy. Earlier on in his career, they might have entertained a bit more back and forth, but at the moment, he just wants to fight. That's all these lads are interested in, is fighting the biggest fights for the most amount of money, and I appreciate it. I can see why, and it's a hard enough game, and they just want to get paid. They've served their time. They've been in the game long enough. They'd probably be on the wrong end of a lot of bad stuff through their careers, and they just want to get paid at this stage. And power to them. I hope they all get paid what they're worth, and make a hell of a lot of money out of it.
I watched obviously a bit of a documentary, and obviously Daniel Dubois, obviously, the other night. Like, obviously, you think of obviously where his career sort of came from, losing to Joe Joyce during COVID, being called a quitter. Obviously, the Usyk fight, obviously the low blow, and obviously at that stage, then where I think Eddie Hearn even said he quit in that fight. Like, do you think that they come back from obviously all the public scrutiny that he came through, and people call him a quitter and everything else, to now being a fully fledged world champion again? Like, does that not probably in a nutshell probably show you what heavyweight boxing currently is?
Yeah, it's an even playing field for everybody. People are always going to talk. And fair play to Daniel Dubois. He's gotten a hell of a lot of backlash online. But at the end of the day, it's just noise. These people that say all these negative comments, they don't matter. They don't make a difference, and they don't change anything. People are always going to talk bad, no matter what's going on. So fair play to him. And I think as well, there's probably 10 fellas like him that have been thrown under the bus, media throw them under the bus, and back they come. Like, look at Gary Cully. And many people spoke bad about Gary Cully after his first fight in the Katie Taylor card. Come back in such a hard fight and to win in such a hard fight, to be really, really applauded. And like what you hear online, what you see online, see on Twitter, none of it matters. None of those opinions matter.
How do you deal with that yourself? Like, obviously, you do you sort of, I guess everybody will always look at the good comments, and obviously
this is it. You need to take both with a pinch of salt. You need to remember like that. It's great when people are bigging you up, but at the end of the day, they're a second away from throwing you under the bus as well. Could be. So you can take it all with a pinch of salt. Comes with the territory. It's part of the job. It's like they say, you can't go swimming without getting wet. You can't box without somebody calling you shit. So very easy to say through your phone, off the couch, having never done anything before in your life. And it's this perception in life as well for men, is that they all think that they can fight. The majority of people think they can fight. They can't, they really, really can't. It's this common misconception, especially you see lads in the gym lifting weights and think they could, take on the likes of Anthony Joshua and Mike Tyson. It's so far removed from reality. So how do I deal with it? I just don't. I just disregard the comments, to be completely honest. I don't feed into it too much. Everybody will always have something to say, so let them.
I think you sort of stay away from, like, sometimes obviously the controversial sort of things, sometimes where people have an opinion and someone doesn't like it. You don't seem to get involved in obviously posting, sort of asking opinions to sort of draw that in. So, like, you just sort of focus in your own lane and and let
I,
everybody else
I,
do their own
I
thing.
always say to Shannon, I said, son, life is too short. There's enough shit going on without you adding to it yourself, without you getting involved in that. There's enough shit coming your way without taking on other people's and stirring it up. So no, I don't do it. I don't get involved. Too much to be doing. And I try my absolute best these days to protect my peace and just block everybody out because it's hard enough still. You know what I mean? Regardless of this boxing thing, it's hard enough to get by and to get on with things. And I don't get involved with it, to be completely honest. I really don't. I have no time for it.
Coming up, obviously now 3.5 years as a pro, like I've sort of, been asking obviously people obviously recently, obviously their opinions and obviously how you think things are going. Like when you first decided you were turning pro, do you think at 3.5 years later, like is everything how you thought it would be so far? I guess you probably haven't been as active as you've been, but you've obviously got to share a lot of camps with obviously, the fighters at the top end of the game. So you probably learned a lot of experience through training camps. Like, how would you assess your 3.5 years so far?
Um, 3.5 years, expectations versus reality. I would say I probably exceeded all my expectations in the beginning. I when I first started out this pro game, I thought it would be all minuscule, tiny, small cards. Build up. This is what I thought. Build up to a decent double figure number record against absolutely terrible opposition. Take a chance. Have a fight against somebody really good. Try and get paid. If you win, have another, and keep rolling the dice. Then, and that was my expectation really. And what happened in reality was I had one fight during lockdown in Liège and Brussels, got signed by Dillian Whyte, had sparred all the top heavyweights in the world. I had majority of my fights been on major platforms and have fought twice now on the two of the biggest Irish boxing cards we've ever had. And about to fight now for the third time in the Three Arena, which is where I've watched my first ever pro card when Matthew Macklin boxed there years ago. So exceeded all expectations still, to be completely honest.
And is it just sort of now about setting obviously new goals? And obviously, I guess it's, we spoke before and you obviously wanted to buy to go down the Liffey. Is it a jet
A
ski?
jet ski, yeah.
Have you bought this jet ski yet?
No, no, no. I changed my mind. They're too dangerous.
I suppose you're a slow driver, so you wouldn't even get wet in the water. You'd be going that slow in the jet ski.
This is it. This is it. So no, goals have changed. Now it's become a lot more real, and I realize, I have a lot of skin in the game, and I won't be going anywhere anytime soon. Anyways, that's for sure.
Is it sort of is it for you sort of now, as a businessman obviously as well, obviously your own brand, like are you sort of now trying to look obviously what, goals and ambitions obviously outside of the sport, like obviously houses, businesses, like is that where your sort of mind's at in there? Like how can you look after your future?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, to be able to train full time as a pro in Ireland is an achievement in itself. It's quite difficult. The current climate, the cost of living crisis, and all this sort of stuff. So I'm really, really blessed in that sense. So I don't really admire too much what I'm doing currently. I'm always looking forward into the future. So now I'm looking to secure a house and looking to secure a couple of houses and take whatever I can get in this game because that's what it's about. It's about taking as much out of it as you can before it takes you.
The 12 days time, obviously, when you return to the three arena again, I guess in some ways you weren't happy, obviously, last time against Dan Garber because he was very negative, sort of. And,
Yeah.
are you expecting, obviously, I guess you probably learned from him experiences, obviously, how to keep your head and keep your cool. Like, obviously, you're fighting in UFC Fight Pass as well all around the world. So you're going to have maybe people tuning in. They may not have obviously
Yeah.
watched too much boxing. Like, what obviously you promising people on the three arena on the 20th of September?
I'm promising a much, much better performance. I'm promising clinical, clean, uh, fast punching, stylish performance that everyone's going to enjoy, knockout or not. Now, as you know, probably will end up knocking them out, but it's not something that we're going looking for or trying to force. But
You're on a
in
seven KO streak. Everybody's going to think the knockout's coming.
in reality, the knockout is coming, but I'm not gonna guarantee it because if you go looking for it, searching for it, it doesn't come. And now in the end, I was able to grind one out against Dan Garber, but he was running for his life for 8 rounds. So we'll see. I'll be a lot more composed this time.
Hopefully, I don't lose my voice this time. I was too busy shouting at you the last time and trying to give you instruction, and you probably didn't even hear any of it. So I'm
No,
hoping I've
not a
still my
word.
voice.
No, looking forward to this one, Steve. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Training camp going really well. Feeling really fit, very fast and athletic. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to showing what I've been working on in the gym.
And like obviously, that's now that'll be now what near the end of September. Like, would you be hoping then maybe to get one more before the end of the year, or will that be you now until the new year?
I'm always ready, Steve. I'd love to get one more before the end of the year. Would love it.
I guess when you're seeing all these big cards, obviously now Wembley and obviously in Saudi and everybody else. I guess everybody's now chasing this Saudi money, but you'd obviously love to probably experience sort of being from being a fan at some of these bigger cards. They obviously now appearing on them as well.
That's what I'm in it for. I'm not in it to mess around. I'm in it to be involved anywhere I can get in. If I can get in the door, they'll have to scrape me out. I'm not going anywhere. So, I'm here for these Saudi cards, these Saudi fights, and sooner or later it's going to click. There's going to be a space for me.
It's I guess sometimes it's sort of someone that wants to take that risk, when you're happy and you're wanting to take the risk and not calling obviously any names or anything, but you're happy to take these fights that just seem to be the other end, don't seem to be happy. Do you probably have to go into a fight and look bad? Like Frampton did in America where he looked bad and then they get the Scott Quigg fight, they get the Leo Santa Cruz fight where people think he's past his best. Like, do you have to look bad in a fight for someone to say yes for you?
Like, I get what you're saying, but I won't ever intentionally look bad in the fight. You know what I mean? I wouldn't give anyone the chance to be completely honest. But I do get what you're saying. It probably is something that's going to have to happen for somebody to say, you know what, Southpaw, nearly 90% knockout ratio or whatever it is. Let me have a crack at him. But I get what you're saying. It's difficult to orchestrate like that, to be completely honest. But yeah, it might take for something like a bad performance for people to come calling. But after the Dan Garber fight, wasn't my best performance. Although I finished in a knockout and I thought I won every round, it still wasn't. I didn't set the place on fire. No one came calling then. So I don't know, Steve. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But we'll keep chipping away. That's one thing for sure. Is I'll be here chipping away the whole time.
And like obviously the Pavel Sar fight as well, obviously a stoppage obviously to the body as well. Like, is that something you've been
Yeah.
working on a lot recently? Is obviously the body punching?
It's something I've always worked on, to be completely honest. It's just that I never really got a chance to land that, and it just landed sweet. And that one, I have a massive arsenal of punches that I control. Like, I'd be a very technically sound fighter, if I do say so myself. But yeah, I'd be technically sound. I have a lot of shots in the arsenal. It's just one that seemed to land and came at a nice time. So the more I fight, the more people are going to see.
I guess with having the Callum Walsh obviously influence, obviously, and Dana White being a big supporter and everybody else, Dana White's going to be there in the night. Is obviously making an impression maybe, and I know you're not promotionally signed anybody at the moment, but if Dana White wants to throw a few million your way and get behind your career, you'd be more than happy.
No problem. I fight in his back garden for a couple of million quid, to be completely honest, if he wanted, when no one watches.
Like an
Or
Eddie
on
Hearn style job in Brooklyn.
Las Vegas Strip. I'd fight on Las Vegas Strip if you wanted for a couple of million quid. Anywhere really. There's nowhere I wouldn't fight for a few million.
You'd probably fight in the middle of the Liffey for a couple of million.
You said it. You said it. One of many places.
But look, obviously, I know that obviously camp's coming to an end for you. Obviously, I'll no doubt see you obviously on Fight Week in Dublin anyhow. But thanks as always for your time. Enjoy your last week coming up now of obviously your camp preparing. We'll
No
see you
problem,
on Fight
Steve.
Week in Dublin.
And you owe me this time, yeah?
I owe you.
You owe me, yeah.
Is the coffee place far? 10 is it far from
10 locations all over the city they have, so you have no excuse. There'll be one close by no matter where you are.
I must still have my voucher somewhere as well, so I'll buy you a
No,
coffee
that expired. That's expired. Don't worry about that. That's expired.
100%. But listen, thanks very much for your time as always, and I'll see you in
See you in a
Fight
bit,
Week.
Steve. Top man, brother.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Thomas.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.